next presidential election.
Led by you.
It's a mockery of American politics.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
It's 11:06 on WSIC News Radio, and you're listening to We're Just Saying with Senator Vicky Sawyer and David. Like to be part of the show, 844 Studio 4. We are streaming live on the WSIC News app. Happy Friday, Senator Sawyer.
Happy Friday.
It's been a minute. It's been a couple of weeks.
It's been a minute, and it's been a busy minute.
Yeah, you've actually been working the last few weeks down in Raleigh, like
David,
running back and forth, doing the people's business.
As we've always established, the Senate always works.
Always works. Yes, it does.
I can still talk
Well,
junk
it always works. It doesn't always work, but it always works.
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
We are at that time of season where the senators and the House members look at each other across the battlefield and side eye and eye roll, and some of us just laugh and chuckle in the background. But yeah, that's where we're at with short session. And you know what? I'm still tickled. We just went over our Rated X segment that will be at the last portion of the show. It's going to be epic.
Yeah, we're doubling up on this Rated X because you had two solid contenders, and I just didn't feel like it was appropriate to pick one over the other. So we're doubling up in Rated X at the end of the show.
We had done the call maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago. I said, I need to be posting more because I'm not really getting the feedback that is funny for Rated X. And man, did y'all deliver.
Ask and ye shall receive.
I received, and it was well.
That is going to be awesome.
It's so much fun.
So speaking of session, obviously you guys are still going. I guess I did see an article where Speaker Moore indicated 30 million apart, and then y'all just decided to go home. So it's obviously all y'all's fault. And I'm sure that there's a tweet out there where it's all the House's fault. But so what is the deal? It's like where are we at on the short session negotiations, spending, that sort of good stuff?
At the beginning of session, I quietly said to some of my friends, I do not want another question from a lobbyist going, is this really going to be a short session? Like everything and everybody in the building was always saying, is this going to be a short session? Is this truly going to be a short session? Because we have a history of going long. Well, I'm here to tell you today, it is truly a short session. The Senate will be home next week with or without a budget.
Well, there you go. Now, I know that for the benefit of those who are following this sort of on the periphery, the House is working on their own budget. The Senate has already done theirs and sent it over, or are they working on their own version of a budget as well?
Well, it started out where everyone was working on the budget together, the House and the Senate. But unfortunately, they couldn't come together through those talks. So the House said, well, we're just going to do our own budget. And the Senate said, okay, great. We're not going to read it. No, I kid. I kid. We put it right beside the governor's budget. No.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm telling you, I'm feisty today.
Obviously. Any hopes that this show was going to bridge the gap between the House and the Senate just went right out the window.
I told my friends on Wednesday as we were sitting at breakfast, I'm choosing violence.
Oh, yeah, you're choosing violence.
Choosing violence is my choice. And so the Senate sent it over. And, it is normal for this to be happening. I've been now serving, thankfully, the citizens of Iredell and North Meck, and used to be Yakin for 5.5, almost 6 years now. It's the same story, same players, just a different date. And so those of folks who are out there tweeting and cursing back and forth, I don't know that they know the whole story, right? So it will be fine. It always works out. We're not the federal government where, funding stops. I'm sure we always will come to an agreement, but I'm enjoying that July and August we will not be in Raleigh.
Yes. Well, and that's summertime. I mean, be home with your family.
Summertime.
Exactly. Be home with your family. Actually enjoy some time not having to be down there and actually doing stuff. But I mean, like you said, it's not like the world stops, right? And to be fair, as I think it was pointed out by, Senator Berger, we have a budget, right?
Yeah.
This negotiation is more about how to spend the additional funds that you didn't realize you had, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so correct a few things here and there. So it's not like the world stops or anything like that. Everything that passed passed in the last budget still moves forward, still goes. So nothing to worry about in that regard.
Yeah, it's just a disagreement on what to do with money that we received that they had not expected and money that is in reserves or in savings. And it's just a philosophical difference as how to utilize those funds. Again, same story, just different date. And we actually, I forgot to plug this at the beginning because I was so tickled about Rated X. We do have kind of a big deal coming on the show.
Yes, we absolutely do. The new, well, not new, but the most, obviously Michael Watley, who had been North Carolina GOP chair for a long time, done a great job, moved on to the national level. And we have a new chairman of the North Carolina Republican Party, Jason Simmons, who's going to be on the show. So it's going to be a great opportunity to talk to him.
I'm so excited to hear his perspective on what I'm considering the first of a few main events for the presidential election. My heart's pumping a little bit about next Thursday. Trump versus Biden.
I know, right?
I mean, what is going to happen? I'm so stinking excited to watch that debate.
Oh, it's going to be interesting, and especially given all the rules that were negotiated. I mean, really, it's basically like the home team also writing the rule book for that thing.
Isn't it always, though? It's always that way.
Well, here's what's interesting is that usually there's some give and take and everything like that, but it appears as though for this debate, if you've been keeping up with the news and everything like that, basically the Biden team basically threw out what I think were conditions they thought the Trump campaign and Trump would never agree to. And basically Trump said, okay, let's do it. And word is now they're coming, well, wait, we want to add a little bit more here and a little bit more there. I mean, if you're familiar with some of the terms, right, it's on CNN, right? Definite home court advantage for President Biden. There's no audience. They get to sit down the whole time. The mics will be cut on and off. You cannot talk over one another. I mean, it's like this list of like rules that only favor our senile, our president. And so basically it's like, Trump has to function within that. And I think that there's this idea that he can't. So it's really going to be interesting to see sort of how because it's really going to be 2-on-1, right? But there'll be the moderator and 1.5 on one.
Trump is used to that.
1.5 on one. I don't know that Biden qualifies as a full person anymore in this particular respect, but it's going to be interesting to see how he reacts. Does he keep his cool, and sort of how substantive this can actually be? Yeah,
I'm excited to pick Jason's brain about that and to see what he's hearing on the national level, just because he has such a tight relationship with the GOP chair Michael Whiteley, and as what he's hearing from North Carolina. We do have some other things going on in North Carolina other than just the back and forth between the House and the Senate. We do have a kind of thought about to vape or not to vape.
That is the question.
That is the question. That is the question. Yeah. So have you been to a gas station recently? Like we only have a minute left, so I'll have to drive this quick. When you go to a gas station, what do you see?
Oh yeah, I see the multicolored vapes, multi-flavored vapes, and everything like that. And so I guess this is the bill's design. You guys are looking at limiting that.
So when you look at those, pick one up the next time you go in, and it will say "Made in China." Not for sale in China, for sale in the United States.
Interesting. So it's made there, but they won't allow it to be sold there.
Yeah.
If there was ever a red flag about something, I think that would be it.
So the thing is not to vape. And we're trying to get that kind of poison off the shelves of some of these gas stations. And that is a bill that we're moving forward. And hopefully that one will get through the clear, bright line of the short session.
So some work actually getting done outside the budget, Raleigh.
For sure.
You're listening to We're Just Saying on WSIC News. We'll be right back.
We'll return with more of NC Senator Vicky Sawyer, and We're Just Saying after this short break on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, here comes big time heat, really cranking it up as we head into the weekend. Plenty of sunshine today as we climb into the low 90s for it this afternoon. Overnight, it'll stay mild with a mostly clear sky, only dipping back down to around 70. For our Saturday and Sunday, plan on mid-90s, but feels like temperatures with all the humidity closer to 100 degrees. Stay cool and stay safe. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Nyers.
Listen, save, enjoy. The WSIC app, available now in your app store.
Here
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree Live gets your weekend off to an early start on Thursday night with a Kids in America concert. This totally 80s tribute band will get you up and dancing. Event time is 6:30 p.m. with the concert beginning at 7. We will see you and your chairs Thursday, June 20th at Langtree, Lake Norman. Friday night at RevFast in Mooresville is the monthly Hot Rods and Hops car show. Cool cars, motorcycles, and trucks will be on display. LKN Mobile Eats and Hoptown Brewing will be on hand with smash burgers and cold brews. Join us Friday after 5 p.m. at the Late Apex Storage Condos in Mooresville for Hot Rods and Hops. Birkdale's Live Under the Oaks concert series continues on Friday. The Ryan Bumgardner solo musical performance begins at 6 p.m. Kick back and relax on the green in front of the stage at Birkdale Village in Huntersville for the free Ryan Bumgardner concert Friday night. The annual Symphony in the Park is back this Saturday in Cornelius. Bailey Road Park welcomes the Charlotte Symphony and fireworks. Bring your chairs and blankets to enjoy this free, family-friendly show. The Symphony in the Park program and fireworks celebration begins at 6 p.m. Saturday at Bailey Road Park in Cornelius. The Kane Center for the Arts Week 3 of summer camps begins Monday, June 24th. Morning and afternoon camps for ages 5 to 17 include art, ceramics, paint, and clay. For more information on summer camp programs, visit canearts.org. That's C-A-I-N arts.org. The Cookout Summer Shootout Series is racing ahead at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The 10-race series night number 4 is on Tuesday, June 25th. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for tickets, details, and information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Now more We're Just Saying with North Carolina Senator Vicky Sawyer on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio with Senator Vicky Sawyer and David. Would like to be part of the show, 844-STUDIO-4, but I would not recommend calling right now because we have hit our, we also are streaming live on the WSIC News app, but we have hit the point that our special guest has arrived that we were teasing earlier today.
Yeah, so Jason Simmons is on the line, and he is the current chairman of the North Carolina Grand Old Party. He is an experienced campaign operative. He's worked in multiple presidential campaigns, including as a North Carolina state director for our very own Donald J. Trump for president campaign in 2016 and 20, in 2020 as a regional political director for the Trump victory. He additionally has worked for government administrations on both the state and federal level, where he served as a senior executive. He's formally enlisted in the U.S. Army Reserves as a combat medic, and probably most importantly, as the chairman of the GOP, a mental health specialist. Jason, welcome to the show. Thank you for calling.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for being here.
Thank you, David, Vicky. It's great to be with you.
Great. Well, I hope you're in for a fun time because we do talk about serious things, but with a little comedic flair. And one of the serious things that I wanted to pick your brain about is what is on most of our minds, and that is illegal immigration and what is happening here in North Carolina. And it's really like, what I hear from folks is their top concern. Well, I mean, I don't hear that from President Biden, but one of their top concerns is the massive influx of illegal immigrants who are flooding our southern border. And then, so from your role as a state chair, what are you hearing across North Carolina about illegal immigrants and from other state chairmen across the United States?
Vicky, you're absolutely right. When you talk to voters across the state and really across the country, immigration, especially the crisis at the southern border, is either the number one or number two issue that everybody is concerned about, with the inflation in our economy taking either the number one or number two spot next to it. We welcome immigrants. We welcome folks to come and pursue the American dream. But what we have great concerns about is an open border where you have over 10 million people that have crossed the southern border. Just think about that for a moment. That's the entire state population of North Carolina that has come across that border illegally, and we don't know who they are. We don't know their intentions. A number of them are here for great reasons. They want to pursue the American dream. Again, we welcome those individuals legally, but those individuals that have crossed the southern border with really nefarious intents, those are individuals that we have great concerns about. You've seen just recently 8 individuals that were picked up that have ISIS ties
Mhm.
and then released.
Mhm.
Where are they? What are they doing? We've seen here just in North Carolina, in Gates County alone, an individual that's on the terror watch list. Again, why are they here? What are they doing? What causes of damage to our society does that cause? And that's just the concerns that we're seeing of those that may have those nefarious reasons for being here. But then that additional burden that's placed upon our society, again, of over 10 million individuals that have crossed the southern border illegally, the burden on our social systems and the increases in our tax rates, et cetera,
Mhm.
to be able to bring these individuals in and absorb them into our society. And we haven't even talked about the fentanyl crisis
Yeah.
that comes with it. So, we could go on and on about what's going on the southern border and the damage that it's causing to our society and our country. And again, that's why it continues to be a top issue this election cycle.
Yeah, I agree. It is so concerning and hearing those horror stories from across North Carolina. And then in North Carolina, we have sheriffs who absolutely are refusing to cooperate with ICE when they detain and arrest some of these violent criminals. And so much so that we are, working to pass a bill to say, hey, sheriffs, you should abide by the law. Like, it's so crazy to me that we have to actually have legislation to make a sheriff abide by statute. It's just, however that works out is beyond me. But when we in the General Assembly have recognized this problem, and we've seen in other states this erosion of what a citizen is or who can vote, and in some instances that there are in the city, I believe that they're allowing folks who are not citizens to vote in elections. And so, as a General Assembly, we are working towards a constitutional amendment which has to be put on the ballot for you, the voter, to vote on in November to clarify our Constitution that says citizens only voting. Talk to me about your conversations with folks about that and where you see that heading.
Well, it's amazing that we're even having this conversation.
Mhm.
It's very clear on who is and is not a citizen of our country, and then having the right to participate in our electoral process. If again you are here legally, you've come into our country, you've become a citizen, you have every right to participate into our electoral process. Those individuals that are not here legally, you do not have those same rights. And so I commend you and your colleagues in the General Assembly for taking that stand to once again codify that those individuals that are here as part of our process, they should be able to vote. We want everybody to be able to vote that is here legally and is participating in our wonderful democracy.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. That's one of the reasons. And some folks have criticized this move of placing this constitutional amendment on the ballot in November as a political ploy. And I disagree with that wholeheartedly. We in North Carolina have only been under Republican control for the past, 14 years as a General Assembly with a Democratic governor. That's not always or may not always be the case. So while we are here, it is so important for us to close up any loopholes so that in future generations, if we should have a flip of our chamber and then we'd have Democratic control, then we have to safeguard our state against this type of loose interpretation of the Constitution. And so it is imperative of us, especially when we have the supermajority, to enshrine these protections of our electoral system into law. So I'm absolutely excited to have that on the ballot, and I hope that everyone out here in my listening audience listens and votes for that.
Our listening audience.
Oh, I
Wow.
forgot.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. She does this.
No, well, and Vicki, you mentioned it on the front, and we've been mentioning just the sheriffs across our state that are picking and choosing what laws they actually want to uphold. And you have an attorney general in Josh Stein, who again has picked and choose what laws he would want to follow out and carry and make sure that our public is abiding by. This just again codifies what we already know to be true. those that are U.S. citizens have every right to participate in our electoral process and should be allowed to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen. Another thing that we're focusing on in these constitutional amendments that you will see on your ballot in November is this voter by mail and requiring them to show an ID when you turn in that. And I know that can be a little bit more cumbersome because you have to, figure out how that works out. But we've seen in our own state that there can be fraud by absentee ballot. And this is just another way to ensure and put into the Constitution that you are required to present an ID with your ballot, whether you do it in person or by mail. Why do you think that's important?
Again,
do you think, yeah, go ahead.
Well, just we're looking for transparency in our system, making sure that we have confidence in the process. You saw during the 2020 cycle where you had the most partisan state board of elections continue to weaken those safeguards on the absentee vote by mail process, where they did away with signature requirements, witness requirements. This just, again, is another step to ensure confidence and transparency in the process. And I commend you and your colleagues again for going forward and doing this great work.
Yeah, thank you for that. And the last one that we'll talk about in the last 3 minutes of this segment, because we are lucky we get to have you for another segment after the bottom of the hour, is an amendment to lower the income tax cap to 5% from 7%. Now, this may seem like a familiar provision that we did, but we actually did this back in 18 when we went from 10 to 7%. Again, this is kind of like a look forward in case the General Assembly is not controlled by a conservative party that will say that you cannot raise an income tax past 5%. Talk a little bit about that and why that's important moving forward for the future of our state.
Well, as we talked about, the economy and inflation continues to be a top issue for everyone. Continuing to lower the tax burden upon North Carolinians, and especially those that do business here, continues to make North Carolina a very attractive place to do business. CNBC year after year continues to recognize the hard work that you and your colleagues do to make North Carolina that attractive place. Despite Governor Cooper and his repeated vetoes and obstructionists on that, taking a lot of credit, undue credit, for making North Carolina such a business-friendly environment, but making it where we, again, lock in those tax rates, create certainty. Businesses want certainty when they're coming to North Carolina, and this just, again, creates that environment that will perpetuate economic growth across North Carolina.
Absolutely. And again, we are competing with other states that have a zero tax on personal income, like Florida and Tennessee. And so to stay competitive, both for residents and for businesses, it's important that we, again, provide that surety. And it's also good that that voters will actually get that choice on the ballot. So, David, I have totally taken over the show. We got 45 seconds left. What you got?
Honestly, it is your show.
No, it's our show. It's
our show. You already said they were your audience.
I
I'm just deferring here.
It was a slip.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize. We have a fight every now and then on this show, because she just claims everything. But
a true politician.
Exactly, like a true politician. But no, it is obviously great conversation here, and looking forward to picking it up after the break. But Mr. Chairman, if you're going to stick with us through the break, we will be right back.
Yeah, thank you.
You're listening to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio.
We'll return with more of NC Senator Vicky Sawyer, and We're Just Saying after this short break on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Mr. Chairman, you still with us?
Well, here comes the big time.
I am.
All right, cool deal. I'm going to keep you on mute here until we get back from break, all right?
Climb into the low 90s.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks.
Overnight, it'll stay mild with a mostly clear sky, only dipping back down to around 70. For our Saturday and Sunday, plan on mid-90s, but feels like temperatures with all the humidity closer to 100 degrees. Stay cool and stay safe. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Folks, here at Randy Mary Chevrolet in Statesville, we have got the brand new 2025 Chevrolet Traverse in stock, all redesigned from front to back, top to bottom, inside and out. Come see them today. We have got a great selection of these new Traverses ready for you to take home. And also, we got great discounts on our Silverado trucks. We got the regular cab, crew cab, double cabs, discounted up to $9,000 off. Great selection, Randy Mary Chevrolet in Statesville, right on I-40.
Here's a WSIC Business Minute with local entrepreneur Joe Vagnone.
Business owners share 5 common blunders. Lack of planning as the top business mistake that I see time and time again. An arrogant attitude. Too many entrepreneurs think they're the answer to everything. Unwillingness to invest in technology. It's time to get over it. Marketing technology is here to stay. Don't cut corners. Viewing relationships as transactional. Business owners should be intentional and long-term thinking. Embrace your mistakes. The important thing to the view of errors is learn experiences and see them as experiences instead of roadblocks.
This has been a WSIC Business Minute with Joe Vagnone. Listen for tips on how to improve your business daily on WSIC. News, talk, now.
Morning Star Baptist Church loves its family, its community, and its country. But most importantly, loves Jesus Christ. Hear their ministry Sunday mornings at 9:30 on WSIC.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute, a new all-time high for home prices. Today, the National Association of Realtors says the average price of a pre-owned home in the U.S. hit $419,300 in May, up almost 6% from a year earlier, and the highest on record. Home shoppers are finally getting some more choices. Inventory of homes for sale jumped 18.5% over the past year. Sales of existing homes didn't move much, slipping 0.7% from April to May. American Express wants to be a bigger part of your fine dining plans. It's reached a deal with Squarespace to acquire Talk for $400 million. Talk is a service that helps customers book dining and other hard-to-get reservations at exclusive venues. Restaurants are a major spending category for Amex customers, exceeding $100 billion in volume last year. Wall Street's indexes heading both ways right now. Dow rising almost 0.25%. NASDAQ and S&P 500 each losing 0.1%. Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Radio.
It's We're Just Saying with North Carolina Senator Vicky Sawyer on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
Welcome back to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio with Senator Vicky Sawyer and David. We are continuing our conversation with North Carolina Republican Chairman Jason Simmons. Mr. Chairman, the good senator has kindly allowed me to ask you a couple of questions about the
on her show,
on her show with her audience about the presidential campaign. So obviously, I think that we're in the middle of a presidential campaign that seems like it's been going on for years. But talk a little bit about sort of what's happening on the campaign trail for President Trump, in the midst of, the lawsuit after lawsuit from Democratic operatives in New York doing their best to keep him off the campaign trail, keep him from talking. Talk about what's going on the Trump campaign in North Carolina and nationally right now.
Well, David, I'm glad you've been able to get a word in anyway.
I appreciate that, sir.
So, as we just look at this election cycle, it's, again, going to be one for the history books, and you look forward to reading what's going to be written about it, because we've never seen anything like this. The political just lawfare that's been waged against President Trump has been astounding. To see the executive branch, the judicial branch come together and to be able to bring lawsuit after lawsuit. And then you have in the district attorney there in New York, and Alvin Bragg, someone who campaigned for the better part of 2 years to bring charges against President Trump. It didn't matter what the charges were. He was going to bring charges against President Trump. And sure enough, he finds a jury and a judge of his liking and a court of his liking in ultra-liberal Manhattan. And you've had a sad conclusion that was really inevitable. And so We'll continue to see what comes of that. But what you saw was that the gag orders that were put in place on President Trump being able to defend himself from these trumped up charges. And really, then the constraints that were placed on him during the better part of 6 to 8 weeks, where he was not able to travel, not able to get out and campaign like he would. We're going to see what's going to happen in a couple of weeks with sentencing. And as we get ready for national convention, then the following week, there's a lot of questions about what's going on. And so President Trump, though, continues to just astound all of us. Everything that's been thrown his way, all of the challenges, all of the trials, he continues to lead in poll after poll because individuals across our state, across this country, understand that this is nothing more than lawfare perpetuated against a political opponent. And that's troubling for folks. And it doesn't matter what political party ideology, having the government go after a political opponent is wrong.
No.
And that's what folks see with President Trump.
No, 100%. And you mentioned something that, seeing what happens in a couple of weeks when it comes down for sentencing. I think those of us that watched closely the trial of President Trump there in New York on the charges that were brought by Alvin Bragg I personally have no faith whatsoever that this judge is going to be fair because he showed no inkling of being fair throughout the entire trial. Every objection by, Bragg was, sustained. Every objection by the defense was overruled. And so, when we're coming into sentencing, based off of, the charges that have been brought, he can easily, basically send, President Trump to jail. And so as I have no faith that he's going to be restrained on that personally, but, should that occur, what are we doing in North Carolina? Because obviously it's going to be campaign by proxy at that point, right? So how are we in North Carolina preparing for something like that to make sure that President Trump's message gets out and that we can effectively campaign on his behalf in North Carolina?
Well, and that's just right. You're going to have a number of individuals that will continue to get out there and represent President Trump as surrogates, but then it's going to be each and every one of us. And there are thousands and thousands of supporters of President Trump that are out there every day, knocking on doors, making phone calls, getting that message out, one conversation after another. Because as you look at President Biden, he has no record of success. He has no record that he can point to of anything that people would actually want to be able to have another 4 more years of. You look at just the failures that he's put in place day one that has impacted us on our cost of living, $1,000 or more for a family of 4 paying today than they were 4 years ago. We've talked at length about the southern border. Again, there is no record, no accomplishments that Biden can point to, and we've gotten President Trump his records of accomplishments, his records of success while he was in office that people can point to and say, I want that back. And so as you look at the Democrats, you look at Biden, all they're going to continue to point to is demonizing their opponents and creating further divisiveness across our country.
No, 100%. And what's interesting about this campaign is coming up on Thursday, we have the first presidential debate, which is really going to be interesting. And prior to you joining the show, we were talking a little bit about basically it's going to be structured really the way that is similar to the home team being able to also write the rule book for the visiting team. It takes place on CNN, obviously, a home court advantage for President Biden. In addition, there's no audience. They're supposed to be able to sit down through the whole thing. There's no mics will be turned on and off. There's no talking over one another. I think there's like periodic breaks for the president to get adrenaline shots so that he can keep speaking. But talk about sort of your expectations for this debate and what do you expect to see? Given really, anyone who reads the way this is structured, I think the Biden campaign really thought Trump would never agree to this, but he did, and he's ready to go in there and make it happen. Talk about what your expectations are for this debate.
Well, for months, you heard President Trump say anytime, anywhere. And Biden, he working in conjunction with CNN, collaborated, put the rules together, and made an offer that President Trump said, I told you anywhere, and anytime. And they are now going to debate. And it's going to be fascinating to watch. You heard just recently Biden's team is now trying to adjust the rules one more time so they can sit down for the duration of the debate. And President Trump was, no, that's not in the rules that we agreed to. We're going to stand. And so good luck for Joe Biden continuing to stay upright for the better part of 2 hours. And to your point, Um, again, why President Trump has asked for drug tests going in and out of this debate. Yeah, again, we talked about just the records themselves. When we look at the records, it's clear cut. President Trump wins time and time again. Joe Biden has been a failure as a president, failed our country, failed its citizens, and has sided time and time again with the far left, where, again, in our lifetime, you would never think that you would see individuals raising the flag of a terrorist and chanting death to America, and that's now accepted and the norm. And that's what you have district attorneys who are trying to defend and not prosecuting those individuals who have perpetuated that terror. And really just it's astounding to see what the left has done to our country, and we can't take 4 more years of it.
No, true. And what's interesting is that, you know, the degree to which the Biden campaign and the folks on the left are saying, don't believe your eyes, believe what we tell you. Their latest thing is, you know, on these various videos that are becoming very frequent of the president, you know, losing his train of thought, freezing, staring off into nothingness, roaming off for no explicable reason, having to be brought back, having to be let off stage by the former president. These, you know, the claim now is these are faked videos, that they're altered when, you know, there is nothing fake or altered about them. Yet we're still, you know, being told, oh, these are fakes, these are you know, AI generated, they're altered. You know, at some point in time, you know, from your standpoint, you're out there on the trail, you're out there talking to voters. Is anyone buying that line of thought?
No. And I'll just put it to you in that most simplest terms. No. It's laughable to think that the mainstream media and those allies of Joe Biden can somehow continue to prop him up as if he is in a position of strength, as if he's in a position of making rational and decisive decisions. Again, it's scary to see how he is being propped up. And again, we're going to see, I think, him being further exposed week after week, day after day, as we continue to see him out in public.
Yeah, and then, with the couple of minutes we do have left, I did want to ask you. On this show, we sometimes like to embrace a conspiracy theory here and there.
Oh, a little bit.
With a little tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
And so curious, from your standpoint, I am of the belief that Joe Biden actually will not be on the ballot. I feel like that it's going to come to a point at convention they're going to realize they've got to replace him. But you know, being someone obviously who's familiar with, you know, conventions both at the state level and nationally, you know, do you think that's a possibility that he could be replaced at the convention on the ballot, or do you think that he's going to be carried through to November?
I would continue to believe that he's going to be on the ballot, but at this point, the left has shown all things are possible. That they have no shame; they are willing to do anything, and so if they continue to believe that Joe Biden is the detriment that we all see him to be politically, you know, stranger things. But we'll continue to keep an eye on it and be ready and prepared.
Absolutely. So with the little bit of time that we have left, what are some ways, you know, people who are listening to this want to get involved in either, you know, helping
You mean
at the
my
state
listening
level?
audience?
Yes,
If my-
yes, the senator's listening audience. How can they get involved? Where can they go for information on how to get involved for the NCGOP?
Well, every election cycle, we always say this is the most critical, but at this point, this is not just the most critical, most important. This is the one that's going to make sure that we have further democracy, have a republic that is still standing. And so would ask everybody to continue to be involved. You can go to nc.gop to donate, as well as to sign up to really get out there and help us with this effort of knocking doors, making these phone calls, getting involved with protecting the ballot, and really having a great night on election night on November 5th.
Well, Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for being part of the Senator Sawyer's show and speaking to her audience. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for
David, my pleasure, and Senator Sawyer, always great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We'll return with more of NC Senator Vicky Sawyer, and We're Just Saying after this short break on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, here comes the big time heat, really cranking it up as we head into the weekend. Plenty of sunshine today as we climb into the low 90s for it this afternoon. Overnight, it'll stay mild with a mostly clear sky, only dipping back down to around 70. For our Saturday and Sunday, plan on mid-90s, but feels like temperatures with all the humidity closer to 100 degrees. Stay cool and stay safe. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree Lab, get your weekend off to an early start on Thursday night with a Kids in America concert. This totally 80s tribute band will get you up and dancing. Event time is 6:30 p.m. with the concert beginning at 7. We will see you and your chairs Thursday, June 20th at Langtree, Lake Norman. Friday night at RevFast in Mooresville is the monthly Hot Rods and Hops Car Show. Cool cars, motorcycles, and trucks will be on display. LKN Mobile Eats and Hoptown Brewing will be on hand with smash burgers and cold brews. Join us Friday after 5 p.m. at the late Apex Storage Condos in Mooresville for Hot Rods and Hops. Birkdale's Live Under the Oaks concert series continues on Friday. The Ryan Bumgardner solo musical performance begins at 6 p.m. Kick back and relax on the green in front of the stage at Birkdale Village in Huntersville for the free Ryan Bumgardner concert Friday night. The annual Symphony in the Park is back this Saturday in Cornelius. Bailey Road Park welcomes the Charlotte Symphony and fireworks. Bring your chairs and blankets to enjoy this free, family-friendly show. The Symphony in the Park program and fireworks celebration begins at 6 p.m. Saturday at Bailey Road Park in Cornelius. The Kane Center for the Arts Week 3 of summer camps begins Monday, June 24th. Morning and afternoon camps for ages 5 to 17 include art, ceramics, paint, and clay. For more information on summer camp programs, visit canearts.org. That's C-A-I-N arts.org. The Cookout Summer Shootout Series is racing ahead at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The 10-race series night number 4 is on Tuesday, June 25th. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for tickets, details, and information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Call now to speak with NC Senator Vicky Sawyer at 844-STUDIO-4. It's We're Just Saying on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to She's Just Saying on WSIC News Radio with Senator Vicky Sawyer. We are still streaming live on the WSIC News app. Great conversation with North Carolina GOP Chairman Jason Simmons. Really, he's really good on the radio.
He's very good on the radio. He knows when to stop and start and not laugh over somebody like I do. And he may be a radio professional.
Exactly. He may be a seasoned radio professional, but a lot of great information there. And, it's clear that, North Carolina is gearing up for this election. And I think you can hear that, just through just the tone of his voice, the determination, and then just a recognition of kind of the obstacles we're facing right now.
Well, you're going to have to, because there's a Wall Street Journal article out, I think today or yesterday, that mentioned how many millions and millions of dollars that the Biden campaign is planning to flood into North Carolina. They really do think that they can pick this state up and go back to 2008 when we went overwhelmingly I guess not really overwhelmingly for Barack Obama, but anyways, they feel like this is a pickup state. And so the amount of money that is coming in for political advertising is just going to be crazy. And let's talk about crazy in political advertising, because there's this new thing that's going to happen, and it's called AI, where you can absolutely mimic, impersonate someone who's running for political office as if they are saying something they didn't. So it's going to be such a mental jog for me to watch how these type of ads move forward, and if people will tune out, not listen. Do you think, David, that with the advent of AI, that we as a culture are just going to start distrusting everything we see?
I think that's going to be a legitimate, offshoot of this technology. And look, I'm fascinated by AI, but being someone who has seen Terminator and Terminator 2 multiple times, the whole AI thing freaks me out just a touch, as it really should everybody, because it's a very powerful tool that is only getting more and more developed. But what I think really, and especially online, I don't think that there's not an instance where I believe this makes it into television so much. but really online. And you see this today. You will see on Instagram and on various other social media platforms videos of, people that they are talking, their lips are moving,
Right.
and then the AI that really sounds a lot like their voice is saying something they're not saying, and it's not completely in sync with the way their lips are moving, but it's enough to make you go, wait, they said this, they said what, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
With through social media. So really, through social media, online, that's really where the danger is. And people spend so much time thumbing through X, thumbing through Instagram, being on TikTok, Facebook. I mean, the penetration of that over just regular television and written media is so much more pervasive.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to be a real challenge to where I think campaigns are going to get to the point where they're going to spend half their time having to prove that, a video or audio of something they supposedly said is not true. And conversely, I think you'll see a lot of campaigns when they stumble and say things that they shouldn't or damaging to them, like Biden's doing, they'll claim that it's being faked. And people are going to get so, desensitized, they're just going to assume, well, yeah, it's probably fake on both sides of the spectrum. So I think it's going to be a real challenge for political campaigns going forward.
I do too. So that's why the North Carolina General Assembly has introduced a bill, and it's moving forward, that would require a political ad to just have a disclaimer to show that this ad was created through artificial intelligence. Just kind of like you'll see when you hear, and I never understood why when I was in politics, well, say, I'm Senator Vicky Sawyer and I support this message. Well, that means that you actually were the one who crafted the message and brought it out, but that's the disclaimer so that you know, or when you see on political signs, they'll say paid for by committee to elect Vicky Sawyer and her listeners. And that I just kidding. Exactly. I'm just throwing back the dig. So there is that protection, but still it's going to be this whole manipulation of the truth versus AI and how that's going to interplay and swing an election. I just don't know.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. But this is something that we're going to have to, both at the federal level and the state level has got to be addressed.
Yeah.
It's just going to have to be because, and government always falls way behind technology. Technology always outpaces legislation and statutes. And so you're always playing catch up. And it's almost with the pace that things like this are moving right now, it's going to be next to impossible to fully keep up.
Well, I could see the interest for campaigns to constantly have their opponent on their heels explaining, because in politics, if you're explaining, you're losing. And so I could see why someone would just put a deluge of incorrect information out there so that a candidate can't attack but has to defend their position constantly. And I could see that being a tactic of war.
Yeah, 100%.
Speaking of war
and deep fakes and social media, time for Rated X.
No.
So like we talked about earlier in the show, we had two that made the cut this time, and I'm really excited about these. To be fair,
are you really?
People brought their A game. Well, actually, one individual person who does not like you at all really brought their A game this time around. So I'm excited about this.
Yeah, I think they're trying to give me an eating disorder.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, it's going to be awesome.
It worked. It's what may have got me.
So first you tweeted out about this show.
I know,
obviously.
this show. Okay, let me tell you a few things about the show real quick before we get into this. In Raleigh, I keep hearing, I listen to your show. And then I have that one moment going, oh God, what did I say? What did they hear?
Go back and rewatch the show to look at what you said. Danger, Will
should
Robinson.
I apologize when you say that? Because I'm not offended, because oftentimes when I hear that, it's not from my Republican friends.
Well, exactly. And sometimes it is from our Republican friends who may not be so much our friends anymore sometimes.
I know.
But you tweeted out the show and you said, this week on We're Just Saying, we talk about Governor Cooper's first veto of the short session transportation project delays caused by mismanagement and funding solutions to complete I-77. We also feature a special guest, our friend Jason Sayin, who served that was for our show up in Statesville, right of the House, discussing the latest on appropriations adjustments, partisan politics out of UNC system, and the SAVE Act, plus more of our segments. So then I Be Yo Daddy, fantastic name, with the avatar of a bird being shot.
But it's Mickey Mouse's
Mouse's hand, bird being shot. So it's adding a little extra flavor to it.
Well, it definitely ages the person.
It does.
If your reference is Mickey Mouse, that means you are at least 60 plus.
Well, no, they could be bare minimum. They're bare minimum Gen X. bare minimum judge.
Okay. Okay.
So they're probably starting in around their 40s to 50s range.
Okay,
Probably. Easily.
okay.
Could be older, but the older people spend less time on the X's. So
Yeah.
I feel like probably we're dealing with a middle-aged,
That's
angry
true.
white guy.
Because I think older people, the one thing they do have is levity, and they understand that this is not a real place.
Yeah, it's true story. But anyway, I be yo daddy responded to you with.
Republicans have a supermajority, but cannot fix roads. Vixter, the trickster.
That's awesome.
Do nothing, twat of a human. Iredell County can't stand you, which you would know if you didn't screen calls to your radio show. Only people who give Vixter money get to talk on your show.
Wow. Heat was brought on that. Now, here's the thing. I love Vixter the Trickster. I think
that gonna
that's
stick?
fantastic. But I wonder if this person might be a little bit British, because twat is a very British word, right? So I'm thinking they might be from England, which means we have an international audience here now.
Yeah.
And to their point, you can't argue with their point that Iredell County can't stand you because you've had such contentious primaries since you joined, right? I mean, you've only won with 68% of the vote every time you've won. So clearly, Iredell County does not like you, Vixter the Trickster. But I think that's fantastic.
That is so Vixter the trickster.
Vixter the Trickster. Honestly, I may run someone against you in the next primary just to have them use that. It's going to be on ads everywhere in my fake AI ads.
Yeah.
But I Be Yo Daddy was not done.
No, it wasn't done. There was another post that I had put out similarly about the show, and the reference is the tweet. I mean, has a great picture of one of my favorite characters of all time from the Golden Girls, B. Arthur.
B. Arthur was fantastic.
Yes, Dorothy. And
Bill, do I have the beep up here? Because we have to beep a couple of things in this one.
This one's
yeah.
Let's see. I'm glad you tested.
No, that's not it.
Okay, you'll have to do the beep with your voice.
Okay, I'll do the beep with my voice.
Beep with your voice. So, honorable mention to Mickey Mouse with a middle finger at me. Hey, Senator Dip.
Beep.
The NCGOP has a supermajority in Raleigh. Why are you not already doing something? What the
beep
do you actually do? Answer, not a
beep
thing, but point fingers at others and have your hand out looking for campaign donors.
There it is.
Fundraise for Ozempic, piggy puss.
Wow. And then it had the picture of B. Arthur behind it. This person is angry. Angry. I Be Yo Daddy is angry.
First of all, I don't think Ozempic needs anybody to fundraise for them because they're
doing quite well.
They just announced like another huge expansion in North Carolina in Johnston County, like one of the largest corporate expansions in their footprint to manufacture that. So thankfully, Ozempic, I think, is it Ozempic? There's an injectable weight loss drug that's manufactured in Johnston County. So yay, North Carolina,
Go North Carolina,
for bringing some more biotech in here. And I just don't know what to say about the piggy.
There's nothing to say. This is a very angry individual.
Yes.
I think you look fantastic. You look nothing like B. Arthur. You look nothing like B. Arthur. I assure you of that. You don't have the gray helmet coming on and everything like that. You look nothing like B. Arthur.
Well, keep them coming because I am really excited about more because this is some quality rated X stuff.
Honestly, we were people had kind of taken a break on us there for a little bit, but now picking it back up again. So I'm thrilled.
I am
really
too.
am.
Bring it.
Any plans for this weekend?
Yes, being at home and waging war for the next week coming up at the General Assembly. Since all I do is sit around and point fingers at other folks and do nothing.
That's right, Vixter the Trickster.
Yes. How about yourself, Coble?
No plans, just living the dream. Everybody have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Serving you better than ever before. 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.